Hello, welcome to another Daily Digest video. I'm Merriam. Today I'm playing what, based on this hand, looks like a three-color deck, but actually it's four. There's also blue, and it sort of looks like a company deck. Kind of looks like the old Naya company deck. It starts with Noble Hierarch, Wild and Coddle, this Voice Goyf, just good creatures at every point in the curve. But there are no collected companies here, and so there's a bit more disruption. In addition to the three removal spells you see here, it has Bant Charm. Then it tops out at Elspeth Knight Errant. So really just a good stuff, aggressive deck, but gets to play Spellqueller now, which I think is really nice and a very good piece of disruption for a deck that otherwise might be weak to combo. So we will try it out. Unfortunately, this hand is just not good. We need to draw a green source to even function. It really needs to be a stomping ground, which we could hit, but on 7 cards, I'm going to hope for better. I can't imagine this hand winning without any pressure. These paths are actually a liability. I have some 1-for-1s that are actually worse than 1-for-1s, and then a bunch of lands where I end up flooded. This Horizon Canopy helps a bit, but not enough. We're going to go to 5. And for a 5-card hand, this is quite good. Nacatl into Goyf on the first 2 turns, back it up with a Helix. So definitely the best hand we've seen so far. Do I want a 3rd land? Probably not. I think it's more likely that I win the game after stumbling on a land drop or 2 than I win the game after keeping that land. Because flooding with this hand is going to be really bad. I'm already down a couple of resources with the mulligan to 5. I don't want to draw too many lands if I can help it. Scry off that temple, so this suggests our opponent is playing Ad Nauseam. Not the best, although we do have a decent clock here, and there's a 3rd land anyway. So the key here is that we don't want to end up getting Sacred Foundry, because that is bad at playing a Lightning Helix. Like 4 Sacred Foundry would be bad. We don't really need to worry about our life total. Elspeth is a double white, and we want to make sure we get blue mana as well. We also don't want to get blue-white, or I guess no matter which one we pair with the white, there's a card that's awkward to cast, because there's Knight of the Reliquary in the deck as well. So there's a green-white card, a red-white card, and a blue-white card. Not sure which is the best here. We have the red-white card, so we're definitely going to make sure we can cast that. And I assume Spellqueller is just better than Knight, so I guess I'll get Temple Garden. And then Arid Mesa can find Steam Vents. Makes sense to me. Temple Garden. Pay 2 life. Really important decks like this that you plan out your early land drops, because making a mistake with them can be really devastating. And once you plan it out, then it's pretty easy to speed up from there. But really, turn 1, you want to take your time. Sleight of hand. And I guess there's no point in looking at this. I don't get any information. Planes. That's a weird one. Do they play basics in the deck? Well, I drew the card that punishes me, so I guess I have to get a Sacred Foundry at this point. If I need to be able to cast a Spellqueller, then the Knight can do that, but I'm not going to fetch in a way that doesn't cast the spells in my hand. Get a 2/3 Goyf. It's going to be hard to get it past a 3/4 in this matchup. Usually Goyf is not great against combo decks. Hard to get a creature there. They're not really in the market for killing our creatures. Well, they drew a Lotus Bloom this turn, but yeah, them having Unlife is pretty big. I imagine they're going to try to... I guess they could just kill us turn 5 with an Ad Nauseam. And that's going to be tough to stop. But we'll try and do what we can do. So now I attack for 5. I get some to 12. Yeah, I'm going to need at least 2 more turns, right? This is a 4/4. I can make it a 6/6. Yeah, I have them dead in 2 turns, so I can't beat an ad nauseum. And if they have an Angel's Grace, that's going to be even worse. But as is with this Ghost Quarter, I can get them in 2. Oh, looks like they just have me down on turn 4 with a Simian Spirit Guide. Yep. Okay, well, I guess I'll take a look at their deck, see if there's anything weird going on in it. They have a Dreadship Reef, there was Spoils version. That might be relevant. 1 pact. 2 pacts. 3 pacts. So there's a Lightning Storm that should kill me with 3 Spirit Guides. Do they have the Lab Maniac in the main as well? Most lists have both main now. Yeah, there it is. But they just have me dead with the Lightning Storm. Okay, I won't make them go through that. And what do I have in the sideboard? Well, the Blue Splash gives me a lot of good options, namely those 5. Excuse me. And I also like Stony Silence a lot. Shutting down their mana is really important. We also have a bunch of crappy removal to take out. So why don't I cut these Lightning Helixes and Paths, and bring in 5 counterspells and 2 Stonies. Bant Charm destroys an artifact, which could be relevant against Lotus Bloom and Pentad Prism, and counter instant means it can counter Ad Nauseam, so that's not a bad one of to have. Also have this Pride Mage. So this post-board configuration looks pretty good. I have 9 counter spells, 2 Stonies, a Bant Charm, and a Pride Mage. 13 ways to disrupt them, 4 bolts, and a bunch of creatures. I can't imagine it getting much better. I don't think the Tech Edge is good. And I don't think any of these creatures are better than what I have. So, yeah. Easy 7 for 7 swap there. And I will play first. So I can get Stomping Ground, Hallowed Fountain here, and cast all my spells. Yeah, now I don't have to worry about red-white for Helix, because it's out of my deck. So Stomping Ground, Hallowed Fountain is the ideal start. I don't have a super fast clock, but if I can draw a land, it'll get a lot better, and I do have a negate, so I think this is a keep. Opponent mulligans to 6, that's nice. Maybe they'll return the favor and go to 5 this game. Nope. Keep 6 right at the top. So why don't I get a Heath in and pass the turn. No, turn 1 Lotus Bloom is quite nice. And I'll get the Hallowed Fountain first. I'm trying to think if there's any way that matters, and I doubt it. I think Windswept Heath is better to keep around than Arid Mesa, so I'll use that one. And now it's probably better to just play the Voice. The Goyf just doesn't attack for very much. Voice is also not great in this matchup, but it is what it is. We really liked a Nicodle or a Noble Hierarch in that hand to jump straight to Knight. But every little bit counts. No turn 2 play, so ooh, Spell Queller. That's an interesting one. And I think I'm going to leave it up instead of playing the Knight. It's not as fast of a play, but I'm expecting, given that there was no play on the first 2 turns, I'm expecting a Phyrexian Unlife here, and I really want to quell it. If my opponent doesn't play anything, then I'm going to get the Queller down so I can clock them, but... Oh, there it is. There it is. I can't get a second blue source. I don't think more... I need another white source. That's a big one. And another green source might be relevant, so I guess I'll get Temple Garden. So we'll pay life for that. Play this one. Quell your Unlife. Perfect. Now I feel great. Be able to attack for 4 this turn, get them to 14, play a 5/5 Knight, and have them dead in a couple turns with a negate up. Ooh. Now I could play Elspeth and just start plussing. Elspeth is essentially just a 3-power haste creature here, whereas a Knight is a 6-power creature without haste. Which is pretty similar, right? 14... 4... Oh, okay. I guess if my opponent, if I so desire, if I play Knight and I draw another fetch land or land that goes to the graveyard, I can Elspeth with a 7/7 Knight and actually kill them next turn. So I think I'll play the Knight. And attack for 4. This is also potentially game-breaking against a Phyrexian Unlife, a second one, because I could get them to 0 a turn faster. Although, if they play Unlife next turn with a 4th land, I'm going to be inclined to hold up the negate for an ad nauseum. So I guess that's less relevant. The Knight just seems like a better clock. Yeah. Jeez. Is this a thing? Wow. That is a beating. Okay. So now they get their Unlife, and I have no clock. Bantu's Last Reckoning. Scry to the bottom on that temple. So they're not untapping this turn. So this is a turn I want to tap out because I don't have to hold up the negate. I have 2 green. I have 2 white. I guess a second blue might be relevant. And this is the second red anyway. Even though I don't think that's relevant. But yeah, second blue might be relevant against Pact if I find another counterspell. So I'm going to Steam Vents. Another land. So I think Elspeth here is better because I can play Goyf next turn with the negate up, as I mentioned, and getting tokens into play is going to make my elemental big. So I'm actually going to start pumping out some 1/1s. Oh, I got majorly punished for not getting the Elspeth down last turn, because then I could play Knight Goyf here. And make a 1/1 and have play Knight Goyf and make a 1/1 and then have attacked for 4. So they'd be at 10, and I think they'd be pretty close to dead in 2 turns. Yeah, they'd be at 10. I'd have a 7/7. I'd have 10, 14, 15 power. Yeah. Guess guess I'll get another Stomping Ground. I don't think I need... Don't think it makes a difference. Okay, so that is actually quite nice to have a second counter spell here. And you know what? I think I'm actually going to eat... Yeah, I'm actually going to leave both up. So I'm going to make a 1/1 here. Then I get to attack for 4. Next turn, I have 5 power in play. I'll use the pump ability and attack for 8, get them to exactly 0, and then hopefully play the Goyf that turn. If I draw a land, I don't have to bring down to either counterspell. And if they go for it this turn, then I can beat a Pact. So I don't think it... Not casting the Goyf here doesn't affect my clock as is, and it could it just gives me more options to hold it. I can have 2 counterspells this turn. I can play it next turn if I draw land and still have 2 counterspells, or just take the risk next turn instead of this one. It's possible there is no risk next turn if they ad nauseam pact. This is a nothing. This could get awkward if they have Angel's Grace to stay at 1. So it combos very nicely with Unlife. Because you can't, the over damage you do in a combat doesn't become poison because it all gets dealt while they still have more than 0. Oh, is this... Yeah, I think that they're going to upkeep the... Oh, no. Okay, I thought they might upkeep the ad nauseam to force me to spend mana on my turn. They still might end step it. We'll see. But let's pump a soldier token, I guess. And I guess we can play a Tarmogoyf. And get them to -1. If they have like a bounce spell of some kind, playing the Goyf first is better. But I imagine we'll see an Angel's Grace here. Maybe Darkness, sometimes they have that in the sideboard. Oh no, okay, so they're at -1, they're dead next turn, and we have 2 counter spells in our hand. So not a bad spot to be in. Casting Spoils of the Vault. I imagine I let this resolve, right? They name ad nauseam. They can probably cast 1. I counter it. So they name ad nauseam. They cast it. I counter it. If they pact, I let pact resolve, counter it again, and then they have to tap out on their turn for the pact. Otherwise, so they have to. Yeah, they would have to have another pact in hand, have a pact in hand, and another ad nauseam in their hand, and countering this versus letting it resolve doesn't change that. That's just what I can't beat. So, sure. If they have an ad nauseam, they might also just name Pact of Negation. Whoa. What just happened? Bunch of cards enter. Yeah, so these are now exiled. They did name ad nauseam. Oh wow, and they didn't cast it on end step. This suggests to me that they only have the 1 and they're hoping to draw a pact here. Or maybe they have like a 2-mana counterspell or something. Okay, well, this looks like the ad nauseam. Let's Unified Will that one. I don't think this would... No, I guess we'll just negate it. Unified Will could counter a creature that I don't think exists and is relevant, but... Or they could have multiple pacts here. Oh, they did exile a Spirit Guide, so maybe they would have needed the mana they need to untap to kill me. No. I'm pretty sure we're winning this game. What do you got? You need multiple pact of negations. Okay. So that happens. We have 10 power on board, just right here. That'll get them to 10 infect. Even if they have an Angel's Grace, they'll take the poison counters and die on their own turn. So they have to have Darkness. And we do have Unified Will to counter something. Is there any way I can beat a bounce spell? I don't really think so, but I'll just deal the most damage I can. So make this attack for 14. And hopefully head to game 3. Spoils of the Vault. Are they trying to find Angel's Grace? Because that's not going to work. But I'll see. Ethereal Haze. Okay, so they just have a different choice of fog. So they have 4 cards in their library now. So I don't see how they can win. They did bring in an Echoing Truth, so that's something to look at. I guess that they did exile an Ethereal Haze the first time, so I should have been wary. I think they actually can win. The Lab Maniac is still in their deck. They didn't exile any packs. They might have boarded them all out because they didn't. I assume they would have cast one on their own turn. So I'm just going to counter this. If they have a pact, then they have to tap out on their own turn and somehow have another Ethereal Haze on my turn. So I'll just counter it. Yeah, they have Ethereal Haze instead of Darkness, I guess. A million poison counters. So they brought in a Slaughter Pact, a Fatal Push, 2 Fatal Pushes, at least, and some Ethereal Hazes, and they probably did bring out Pact. But we have a bunch of counter spells, so that might... And the Bantu's Last Reckoning they brought in. And Echoing Truth. Yeah, they brought in all their things to answer stuff on board, assuming that that's how we were going to disrupt them. But the Blue Splash means that we have a bunch of counter spells, so get wrecked. I like the way we sideboarded. That game went quite well. We will keep the same. Bantu's Last Reckoning is one to watch out for. Okay. We gave him 1 extra turn from not playing the Elspeth instead of playing the Knight. But I don't spend a lot of time looking over ad nauseum deck lists. Not sure if that one's a common sideboard card at this point. Pretty good one. Nice. Little cheap Wrath. And do you have plenty of artifact mana that you can potentially use with it? Lotus Bloom and Pentad Prism. So you're not entirely locked out on your next turn. No disruption in this hand, but a very strong opening curve. You get turn 1 Stomping Ground into Coddle, into Voice, into Knight. Do I have to mulligan to disruption on the draw? Let's think about how quickly this hand kills. I attack for 3, then 5, then 8, then 11. Probably maybe even 13. But 3, 5, 8 brings him to 4. and that's a my turn 4. So they would just get to turn 5 completely unhindered. That does not seem good enough. So I think I am going to, unfortunately, mulligan this hand. This hand is awkward. Very awkward. But on 6, it's a keep. We need to find green mana for this knight. We don't have anything early, and I'm going to aggressively trade counterspells because of that. Because on turn 3, I have to tap out for knight. So I'm going to pay 2 life to hold up negate. Oh wow, our opponent just mulliganed to 4. Now I'm aggressively trading basically all the time. Can't cast a green card, so that can go to the bottom. Our opponent's scry to the top. Ooh, that's going to be some damage they take. Ooh, and there's a green land. So that can get our stomping ground. So the reason I played Hallowed Fountain there is because I want to go fetch, pass, and not be entirely suspicious about having a counterspell. Whereas if I were to shock myself, the jig would be up. Now it looks a little bit safer. Not that much safer because they know I have negate in my deck, but they also know I have Unified Will, which currently doesn't do anything. This will likely be adding a counter Dreadship Reef. Yep. So they're making their land drops, which is all you can ask for on a mull to 4. And as promised, I am going to trade aggressively with my counterspells. So that's a yes. And you can get negated. Just don't want to let them set up and find what they need. Dreadship Reef is actually really good here because I had to let them effectively make more land drops. So I'm a little peeved at that one. That's a good draw. If I play the knight, I run afoul of Phyrexian Unlife, but you just have to go for the kill in situations like this. Diversify our mana with that Temple Garden. Next turn, we can start holding up our stuff. There are 2 cards. It's just so hard for them to assemble everything. If they have an Unlife here, it could get interesting, but yeah, they don't. That's perfect. Ooh, well, Stony Silence is not very good. Don't think my life total matters, so I'm just going to make sure I can hold up Dispel and Queller. And I think I'll just attack for 4. This will get them to 14. I'll play the Queller no matter what they do on their turn. Hopefully get to quell a spell, but quelling gets me 6 power, which brings them to 2 in 2 turns, and then I finish them off with the Bolt. Oh, yeah, and they're actually taking more damage from the City of Brass, so... There's a Lotus Bloom and another City of Brass. So they've actually flooded on their 4-card hand. 5 lands here. Notice how negating that Seer of Visions was excellent. They've just drawn a bunch of cards they would have scryed to the bottom. No need to get value out of this. We're just going to try to end the game. One of their ways out of this right now is to potentially have their last card here be the Ad Nauseam and cast it small and hit the right cards. So pressuring their life total is even good in that respect. We'll see if they cast it here. They can cast it without spending life off city. And we drew another Queller, which is great. So pass. I'll put another counter on this reef and be dead on their next turn. Well, not the most interesting set of games, but I think this hand would have been pretty good against a lot of their hands. I think against their better hands, I would just get to negate on turn 3. So they're trying to hit Bantu's Last Reckoning, I imagine, and they have to hit it in the top. So the worst case scenario here is if I quell this and they cast Bantu's Last Reckoning, whereas if they try to spoils into it, they have to hit it in the top 2 cards. Each of the exiled cards. They have to, yeah, if they hit it 3rd card down, they go to 5, and I kill them with Queller Bolt. So I'll just let this resolve. No, well, not sure what happened there. Oh, they named Unlife. Okay, that actually makes more sense. If they'd hit Unlife in the top 6, then in the top 7, then they survive the attack. That's not bad, but I have the Queller for the Unlife, so, and if their last card is Pact of Negation to defend it, then I have Dispel, so the Unlife wasn't going to win them the game regardless. And if their last card is the Reckoning, then it's much better to hold back. So, unfortunate draw there in Game 3 from them, but I won this game with several cards in the bag, with a Dispel, a Queller, and a Stony Silence. So if they, which I think is going to beat a good number of their hands. Being 4 colors and having access to a really good sideboard, we're able to sideboard every removal spell other than Bolt, which is the most functional one, out of the deck, and have a ton of disruption for this matchup in the post-board games while not cutting into our clock at all. So really nice that this is a deck with a lot of powerful creatures that can stand on their own in combat-oriented matchups while still having lots of disruption to beat the non-creature decks as well, and the various combo decks. But it's definitely a deck that just stands on the individual power level of its cards and the quality of the fetch land, shock land mana bases in Modern. But that's a proven place to be. So hope you enjoyed that one, and you can come back and see me on Monday. Bye.